Coach's Corner is your source. Baseball, football, soccer, and hoops. The Coach's Corner has the scoop. It's the Coach's Corner with Andy.
Covering Tri-State sports, it's the Coach's Corner with Andy on 92.1 The GOAT.
It's the Coach's Corner.
Hey, welcome back to the Coach's Corner. Andy here. Got Kevin Murphy with me. So, Kevin, unfortunately, your season ended early for your girls, but you guys still had a great season for the expectations you had going into the past winter season, right? Because, I mean, you guys weren't really in a rebuild mode, but you lost a lot of top senior players to graduation. And I guess you could call it a little bit of a rebuild, maybe just a building up season, not really a full rebuild. But talk a little bit about your last game, what happened. I know we had talked a little bit after it ended, and you guys said you didn't have a real good shooting game. Let us know, what was going on in the huddle and stuff, and what are your thoughts on it? How do you think it should have gone differently?
You set it up really well. I think it wasn't a rebuild year, but it was more of a reset year.
There you go. That's a good way.
We never really have had a year where I had to rely on a sophomore guard and a junior guard like we did this year. Usually we've had some senior guards that were, either our top producers or our starting point guard or two guard. We didn't have that this year.
Yeah.
So if you'd have told me before the year started, hey, you're 17-7 at the end of the year, you won your division of the CMC, you're going to play for the conference championship, and you're going to go 6-0 in your side of the CMC, beat Middletown twice, Walkersville twice regular season, take it all day. But yeah, the last couple games got us. We did not shoot the ball well in the last two games. Part of it was we had four kids that we relied on to play about 27, 28 minutes a game. My own daughter got hurt in the conference championship against Catoctin, and she tried to play through that. I could tell she just wasn't herself in the Middletown game in the playoffs. So no excuses. They were better. They beat us that night. But one thing was, you and I talked about before, this is the 11th straight year now that the winner of our region either went to the state championship or state semifinals. Well, Francis Scott Key won our region, and they won the state championship. So
They did.
Tough basketball.
Yeah. Oh, they're always those teams out of Frederick are always really good. I guess they're Frederick County, right?
They're Carroll, but Frederick County.
Frederick Carroll County. Okay. Yeah. So with this season ending now, and like you said, you have a really young team. What are you looking forward to the most next season? I know it's a ways away, but you should have a lot of returning talent coming back. You said you had a lot of sophomores on the team currently. How many players do you have returning next year?
We have a lot. We lost four seniors. Not all of them played a lot of minutes, but our starting one man starting point guard and two guard, I should say, were a sophomore and junior. So that's good when you have your top two guards back. That helps a lot. And then you kind of filter in from there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Our JV team had a good season this year, but you just said off season and everything. There's really not an off season now. We'll jump into summer league before too long. We go to team camp in June, and then we're right back into it. So in high school sports, there's really not an off season anymore.
Yeah.
But looking forward to it when we get back in the gym here sometime in June.
Yeah, and that's what kind of can make high school a little bit tougher. It never, if you're really into the sport, and now I remember when I played, we had summer leagues for every sport, but there was like a little bit of a lull between the end of the season. Like take soccer, for instance. I played soccer all 4 years. This season ended in, if you went to state finals, November, like early November, late October, and you had from then until the summer league, which started when school was out, to, play other sports, focus on other things. Nowadays, I feel like there's so many, this is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. There's so many club teams. There's so many travel teams. There's, high schools have, like you said, your camp now, before the summer league, which is great. So if a kid wants to focus on just one sport, they can now. They don't have to fill their time with another sport. Not that that's a bad thing either. But a lot of the kids, at least when I played the same. They all played the same sports. Like most of the soccer players went on to play basketball in the winter. Then or they wrestled. And then after winter was over, most of them played baseball, or the girls played softball. It's just kind of the athletes were kind of just one group, and we kind of all just migrated to the different sport of the season. But it's kind of cool to see, so many opportunities and options now. I've talked with every sport in high school and every coach, almost at least. And they all talk about club teams or travel teams. Volleyball's got their club teams. Soccer's got those traveling teams. It's great to see. So hopefully that continues to be a trend. that sticks around, because I wish it would have been that way when I was there. I would have focused more on one thing, and who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe I would have been a professional athlete. I doubt it. I
Well,
highly doubt it.
interrupt you about that, but that's a good little segue there. I actually like our kids playing other sports. Kids
Mhm.
get injured if they're or they get burnt out. My own daughter played on the state championship volleyball team this year at Williamsport, so I love it that she gets to get coached by someone else.
Yeah.
Has State University has a different sets of friends that she gets to play with, different teammates. Those are great life lessons besides the winning and losing. So the specialty stuff is great, but I do like when kids are playing multiple sports. I'm not that coach. I'll raise my hand right there that just says, okay, I don't want all just basketball players only. And I think a lot of coaches, to be honest with you, are feeling the same way I do. That
Mhm.
they like their kids playing other sports. When they say their kids, the kids that play their sport.
Yeah.
You're right. There's so much more opportunity now than there ever were when you and I were growing up. So much more.
Well, and the thing is, the kids can still play those other sports in high school, and I'm assuming they could still do the club organizations or the travel teams. If I don't know what kind of regulations and rules they may have, I'm sure it's maybe a little bit stricter than high school, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have to pay to get into most of those. So I feel like a lot of focus would be put there, but nonetheless, like you said, yeah, it's great to play multiple sports. I'm happy I got to play multiple sports.
Exactly. Yep.
Not every, like I said, most of the athletes kind of migrated around, but some didn't play others, and some played, a certain sport, and you got to see those people when you went and played that sport. So yeah, and it's an opportunity to make new friends, and it's all about the experience in high school, anyways. So the winning's just nice when it comes along with it.
It is very much
So you guys lost to
Middletown.
Middletown, who you beat twice in the
Yeah.
regular season.
Yeah.
So, what do you think Middletown did differently in this game in order to come away with the victory, or do you think it was just overall bad shooting night for you guys, which was the reason?
No, I would give them credit. We are more of a finesse. We're not the strongest looking team. If you would walk in the gym, you'd say, "Whoa, they're the strongest built kids." And I think what Middletown did is they made it to a borderline rugby match. They made it really physical.
Yeah.
Made everything completely different than the first two games as far as very physical. The physicality was big. And when those kind of basketball games happen, the team who's usually the more athletic, stronger team is going to win. And we had skill, don't get me wrong. And the two games we beat them really could have went either way. They could have beat us twice. I think that if we played each other 10 times, you'd have 5 wins for us and 5 losses for us. That we were that close. But they started 4 kids that are 6 foot tall. I mean, and we don't have that kind of size and
Wow.
length.
Yeah.
But our kids did a really, really good job this year. We really overachieved. Really proud of the group because they did more than I know a lot of people. I mean, I heard it all at the end of the year from radio guys. We had a radio broadcast of our game in the CMC championship against Stockton, and I heard it from that group. Heard it from the newspaper. Man, you guys really overachieved this year. It's true, we did, and so I'm proud of that effort that they put in. And it was sad to see it end. If you would have been in our locker room, our team was really upset when they lost. That meant something to them. And I'll be honest with you, some groups you just don't know how much it means to them. This year they were devastated. It was tough.
I bet. Dude, are any of your seniors going on to play college ball?
No, not right now. I mean, the 3 of them that played a lot of minutes, they're more focused on their future as far as one of our players, Emerson Shanks, she wants to go the pre-med route. She's going to start in Maryland.
Wow, cool.
Maryland. Yeah, so we've got some really smart kids and some kids that are driven to their career. And I'm going to be honest with you too. I don't really push them. I played 4 years of college basketball. That was my goal. But it's a grind. It's a lot of work. The coaches, I don't say they own you, but they your schedules are set, and that's a commitment. And I think some kids, and you and I have talked about this before, high school athletics can teach you a lot of things, and I think some kids just love playing high school sports. And maybe college isn't the best thing for them, to play.
Right. I actually have a couple that me and my wife are friends with. They have a son, their youngest son. He was a senior at Williamsport 2 years ago. His last name's Lane, Ian Lane. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the name at all. He played football. That was his main sport. And he went to, he's playing at Bridgewater currently. And I talked to him a few times on here, and we were talking about the different schedules, like how it's different from high school than it is from college. And he said, it's your life at college, to go along with your academics, but that's really all you do. And
Exactly.
he was kind of going over the schedule with me, and like you wake up, you lift, you go to class, you eat, you lift, you go to class, you lift, like or drills or whatever. And it's really interesting to get that point of view from somebody who's going through it for the first time. He seemed to love it. So, but it's not for everybody, like you said, and other kids, which is great that they want to focus on the actual, the career aspect. And that's that's what high school is all about, and that's what sports can kind of help you figure out as well. Do I want to pursue this after high school, or do I want to go a different route?
Yeah.
And who knows, they might end up coaching.
Exactly. And hey, before we get anything else, I also want to mention, I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but our local county team in Smithsburg, they went all the way to the state semifinals. We played 2 really tough games against them. They beat us this year, but you got to credit Coach Bono and his staff and their team. They got all the way to the state semis, lost to Southern Garrett, and then Southern Garrett lost in the state championship a couple of nights later. But they had a great season. I mean, they have 2 Division I players on that team. He's done a really good job with them. And on top of that, when everybody's good in the county and everybody's focused on getting better, the county and the health of basketball on the boys and girls side of that county is very good. And we're very competitive across the state, which is great to see.
Yeah, I was following you guys in Smithsburg because I knew we talked a little bit about them before, and that they had a very good team. Was it Mastronardi, Jenna? She said Skyla,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, she set a few records with Smithsburg this year as well, I believe. Was she a senior or a junior?
He's a junior. And then
Okay,
Claire
so
only a sophomore, his daughter.
wow.
They got another film a lot that no one talks about. She's really good too, the sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
They have 2 sophomores and juniors and a junior. And here's a really quick life lesson, good one for you, that one of my best friends and college teammates from Frostburg when I played is a guy by the name of Jason Sims. He's the assistant athletic director at William & Mary. That's where Skylar wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's recruiting her pretty hard, and their Division I school, of course, in Williamsburg. And it just goes to show there's connections everywhere. And I'm sure Jason and I'll be talking about her and how she fits, and of course talking to his staff, and so I'll of course put 1,000 good words in for her about what kind of competitor she is, what kind of kid she is. I don't think kids look at that. I don't think kids look at the fact that they can be in front of other fans, other coaches, and they can help or hurt them because of the connections they have. And it's a really good lesson for kids because I don't think they understand that, or parents, how they act.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I missed it or if it's not out yet. Were the all county lists first and second team released yet?
No, but our conference was. So the CMC, which is the conference that we share with Frederick County. So it's ourselves, Walkersville, Middletown, Brunswick, and then you got Clear Springs, Smithsburg, Boonesboro, and Catoctin, right? So there's 8 teams. So what's cool is I love the way they do this. So you can nominate your players to be on first or second team, and then the other coaches vote. You cannot vote for your players. So it's a legitimate way of doing it. We didn't have anybody on the first team. Smithsburg had Claire Bono and Skylar Mastronardi. And then the second team, Jill Malott, who I just talked about, Smithsburg. And then we had 2 players. So McKenna Murphy, my daughter, and Arissa Hardy. So what's cool was out of the 10 kids that were voted, 4 of them, actually 5 of them, were for Williamsport. So it tells you how good it was when we're sharing that conference with Frederick County.
Yeah.
Half of the kids on that roster, first and second team. So I also thought Emerson Shank for my team really deserved consideration for at least second team. She was on my team this year, at least her. So we had 3 kids that were quality. I thought that could have made first or second team, but conference is really good. It's a good conference.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, and it seems like a lot of the teams are young, so it's going to be competitive for at least a few more years to come till the new class rolls in and figure out what everything's going to look like then. But you mentioned Emerson and her going to Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Or with our dreams to go to Maryland. Speaking of Maryland, I want to talk a little bit about March Madness, and Maryland is in the Sweet 16, so that's our transition. We're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Sweet 16. We're going to see a little bit about your opinions, who you think is going to advance to the Elite 8. I got a few dark horses that I like. The Terps are one of them. So I'm going to go ahead and let you know that now. But when we come back, we'll talk more about March Madness.
Thanks.
It's the Coach's Corner with Andy.
Covering Tri-State sports, it's the Coach's Corner with Andy on 92.1 The GOAT.
Welcome back to the Coach's Corner. I'm Andy. This is Kevin Murphy, and we are hanging out. We just talked a little bit about the ending to the Williamsport Wildcat girls basketball season, and we are transitioning right into more basketball, college basketball. Obviously, everybody knows the Sweet 16 is starting tonight. And I think games kick off around 7. I think the first game, if I'm not mistaken, is BYU and Arizona, right?
Alabama.
No, Alabama. Sorry, Arizona plays Duke. BYU, Alabama, a great game to kick everything off. I kind of like BYU to at least give Alabama a run for their money. Alabama is a great basketball team, Um, but I always like to pick the underdog in situations, especially where the seeding is so close. I know seeding is basically just a ranking based off your season, but this is still kind of like a clean slate. You could have played horribly in the first, 2 rounds or even just one of the other rounds, and you can still make up. If you squeak by with a win, you can still make up for it. And that's what I love about March Madness. As long as you get by and survive, you have a chance. What do you think about the BYU Alabama game coming up to kick things off?
That's probably the best one to start with because
Hmm.
BYU shoots the three really well. They've got some older guys that know how to play. Bama is that. I don't know if you've noticed about their coach. Their coach has really big in analytics, and he either wants a layup or a three. So you could see threes being bombed every possession. BYU shoots it really, really well.
Mhm.
Bama's streaky. Like Bama can knock some threes down and then go cold. But I
Yeah,
think the point guard for Bama, the lefty, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he could be the difference in the game. I think you just nailed it. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. I think BYU stays with them. I don't think that Alabama's going to be able to put them away
yeah,
because BYU's beat. I think they've won like 10 or 11 out of the last. I think won like 10 of their last 11. The only team that beat them was Houston in the conference championship in the Big 12, and Houston's a 1 seed. So BYU's good. They're very
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it'd be an exciting game to watch. I talked a little bit about this. I had a gentleman on with me yesterday. His name was Adam, and he's works with Vegas Sports Information Network, or they're called VSIN. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah,
heard of them or not. We talk occasionally. I'll have one of their analysts on, and we talked a little bit about March Madness. And he was high on BYU as well, and I agree with him. It's gonna be a tough game, probably one of the best of at least today's games. But another game a lot of people are eyeing up, especially if you're local in the area, is the Terps. Maryland's taking on a very tough Florida team, a very offensive. I say offensive, not offensive. I'm going to make sure I make that clear. Florida is one of the best offensive rebounding units probably left in the tournament, I would say. And if Maryland finds a way to prevent them from rebounding the ball offensively, and Maryland gets a little bit of depth out of their bench, because that's been their main problem, right? They don't really have too deep of a roster past what do they call them? The Crab Five?
grab five. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, they've got a few players on the bench that may be able to light a spark, but not like the other teams. And it's going to be tough if that's the case against Florida, and they have to do that. If they start to fall apart early, they may not be able to come back. It might be able to make it a fight. But I mean, Maryland's a really good defensive team. And I think their turnover rate's one of the best of the teams left in the tournament. But I think if Maryland can't pull this off here, which I hope they do, because I've got them going all the way in my bracket here at work. Um,
I like it.
I think it'd be a close game regardless. I even though I have them going the whole way on my bracket here at work, we're playing for a day off. By the way, there's nothing
I like
else
that even
involved.
better.
I actually bet against Maryland. I did a little bit of like a $5 bet against Maryland for Colorado State, because Colorado State kind of screwed me over in the game before the Terps game. And I liked what I saw from Colorado State. So, I was like, Maryland's, like I said, Maryland's that team that if they start to fall apart, they may not be able to come back because they don't have the depth. And that's what was happening. But then they proved me wrong.
Yeah,
And even though Queen traveled, hey, the shot went
yeah,
in.
he did.
Yeah.
But speaking of that game, I think what helps Maryland in that game, Florida's got like 4 legitimate post guys that are good. Like most teams don't have legitimate post players. They might have 1 or
Hmm.
2. Florida's got 4 they could rotate, but Maryland's got 2 good ones, and so I think if they're going to be able to compete on the backboards with them inside, I really do. I think Gillespie's going to have a big game for the Terps because guard plays where you win it, right? And he's going to have to play better than he did. I thought against Colorado State. I thought he had a good second half, but I think 5-on-5 they match up with them. I think the
Hmm.
depth part of is the issue. I'll say this: I think whoever wins this game is winning the region championship in that region because I think they're both better than Texas and Arkansas that are on the bottom of that bracket. So I think you're right. I think you got a legit chance of Final Four if Maryland can win tonight.
Yeah, I've got Maryland Duke in the championship game. So, that old ACC rival.
Love it.
Maybe it'll happen. It's still alive right now. So, it was close though this past weekend. I really like the Terps too here. If they can hold on and they can play mistake-free basketball, I think they definitely at least have a chance. And but if Florida does end up beating them, A lot of people are picking Florida to go the whole way and into playing Duke in the championship. I think just about everybody's got Duke in the championship.
Yeah.
But that's the next game I actually want to talk a little bit about is Duke and Arizona.
Yep.
I think I was looking the other day, or I was looking today. I think the spread for Duke is like minus 7.5, maybe 8.5. I think that's a little disrespectful,
There.
really. I think Duke's going to win by way more than that. I think it's going to be close to start off with. It's going to come out hot, but then Duke's obviously I think they're the more experienced shooting team. They got Cooper Flag. I mean, I feel like he's kind of been on the back burner a little bit, which is good. I mean, he's getting the ball to his teammates. They're spreading the ball around. That's what you do in college basketball. Rarely do you see, I think probably since Carmelo Anthony, remember when he used to put up those like 30 points, like 12 rebounds? That's like NBA numbers. You just don't see that in college, really. And, well, at least today anyways. And as much as I hate Duke, I do like Cooper Flag a lot. But Duke's got a lot of other great players as well. It's just weird. It's still weird to me not seeing Coach K on the bench.
It is.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's like almost like it's the same team, but it's just a different coach. So that just goes to show you the organization as a whole. They got their stuff together and they know what they're doing. It's not just the coach. But what do you think about this game coming up? Do you think Duke not blows them out, but wins by a substantial margin, or do you think Arizona hangs in?
No, I'm with you. I think Duke wins by double figures, probably 10 or more, because, there's not just Cooper Flag. I mean, it's Knipple. He's good. They got other guys that can play, and their depth is a little tested with a couple of injuries they had. But one piece tonight that's going to be interesting, Caleb Love played at Carolina for all those years and played pretty well against Duke those years when he played at Carolina. Now he's back. He's at Arizona. He's one of those guys. He is like a bomb that just detonates. I mean, he could drop 30 one night, but then he could go 2 for 12. I think that's a matchup to watch tonight. If he's on fire early and he hits some shots, they could hang in there. They could be right there with him. But if he does his typical implosion that he does in some of these games where he's just firing away, and he's like I said, 2 for 12 or worse, I think Duke runs away with it in the end. But Duke's going to win. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah, he'll fit perfectly in the NBA if that's the case. Hot one night, ice cold the other.
Yep.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think Duke definitely makes it to the championship game here. And past this Sweet 16, past the Elite Eight, past into the championship. And then what's the last game we have coming up? Arkansas, Texas Tech. I think Arkansas is still the only double-digit seed left in Sweet 16. And a lot of people peg these guys for probably getting at least knocked out in the first round, but they've been a tough team. I don't think they're able to beat Texas Tech here. Texas Tech, I think, is on paper the better basketball team. But we've also seen on paper may not matter in March Madness. A lot of things can swing different ways. Momentum is a big thing in this tournament. If one team catches fire and they keep it and, you can play, decent defense, there's always a shot. So what do you think about this game coming up?
I think it's going to be tight. I like the way Arkansas is playing. Arkansas, I've got a couple guys healthy now that were hurt during the year. It's funny. Calipari couldn't win the last several years at Kentucky. They got rid of him because he kept losing games in the tournament. Now he's in the Sweet 16 his first year at Arkansas. So he's done a good job with them. But I do think they had some injuries, and then now these guys are healthier down the stretch. And it would not surprise me them beating Texas Tech. It really wouldn't. But I think that might be one of the better games tonight as far as close. I do agree with you. I think Texas Tech's just enough on paper is better than them. But, they got some guys that are just playing really well. I mean, Arkansas played well against Kansas. And, think about it. They beat Kansas and St. John's in back-to-back games. That's pretty strong,
Yeah.
And they weren't really highly thought of out of the SEC. That tough competition in the SEC probably just made them so much better than what people realize, playing the best teams every night.
Agreed. So one of the best things about March Madness is you don't just get one night of games. They're going to split them up into 4 games a night. So we got Friday games too that are coming up, and I want to talk a little bit about those too. Some great ones as well. Let's start off with the Auburn-Michigan game. Michigan, kind of that team that's kind of survived, stayed alive in the tournament so far. Auburn's a tough team. They did come out a little slow. Was it what team? What 16 seed?
Oh, okay. You're not talking about Creighton because they're slow. The very first, was it Alabama State? I can't remember who they beat.
I think it was Alabama State, but they were giving them run for their money.
Yeah,
and I never thought them losing. I never thought their getting knocked out of the tournament was a problem for Auburn. And They're a number one seed for a reason. But this should be a good game. We'll see if Michigan can hang with them. See if they can remain in the tournament. And it's going to be tough, but it's doable. And what do you think about this game coming up?
I think Auburn's the most vulnerable one seed. I think Florida is legit. Not that they're just going to walk on Maryland tonight, but I think Auburn down the stretch they were struggling. They were not winning games like they were the regularity early in the year. I think Michigan's issue is this: Michigan tends to turn the ball over way too much. Auburn's athletic, quick guards. It's basketball's all about matchups, and any coach will tell you that. I think they match up inside with them. They can negate the inside with Jani Broome. But I think on the perimeter, those athletic, quick guards that Auburn has going to give Michigan some fits and turn them over some. And I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, I think Auburn's vulnerable, but I think they win. But it's going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I think if anything, if Auburn does come away with a win here, they're definitely going to show their hand of how to beat them. And it's possible, they may not make it past the Elite Eight if they do win tonight. One of the games I'm probably the most excited for, Michigan State and Ole Miss. This should be a good game. Ole Miss is that team that just knocks down threes back to back, and they definitely gave a reality check to Iowa State. A lot of people had Iowa State at least going to the championship game. I was surprised myself that Iowa State lost that game, but like I said, like we talked about before, I know a little bit about college basketball, but I'm not really too into it. So when I'm looking up this information, before the games start, and I'm trying to figure out, who I think will win, I definitely had I definitely had Iowa State advancing and not Ole Miss. But it'll be fun to see this game. Michigan State's a tough team as well. A lot of people are picking Michigan State to advance on over Ole Miss. While Ole Miss is a good 3-point shooting team, they have other problems as well. But what team doesn't, right?
Yeah, this time of year it's tough. So let's just follow up with that. Michigan State and Ole Miss, two really good coaches. Beard for Ole Miss and Izzo for Michigan State. Probably the best coaching matchup of the two nights. And Michigan State's issue is they struggle to score. They defend, they rebound. It's legendary what Izzo does in practices with his rebounding. He'll have his guys put on football pads and helmets and stuff. He's crazy. You're not going to see a Tom Izzo team ever get out toughed. But their tendency this year, and it happened to them in the Big Ten tournament. They lost to Wisconsin. They went cold for a while, and they rely on a couple of young guys. The Richardson kid, whose dad played there and then played in the NBA, is a freshman. He's a lefty. It's a freshman though, and it's in the Sweet 16. So that they rely on him, and they also rely on guys hitting some shots in perimeter. They're big inside as they always are. But a concern with Michigan State is they tend to go into too many scoring droughts. And I think that's a tight one. I mean, that's going to be a real tight game. But I like Michigan State. I do. I think they'll win the game. But
Agreed. Another team a lot of people are sleeping on is Purdue. The Purdue Boilermakers are going up against Houston. Now, Houston's another one of those number one seeds that's kind of like Auburn, a little bit shaky in some games in the tournament, but still still managing to advance. What do you think about this game coming up? Do you think Houston is able to get to the Elite Eight, or do you think Purdue comes away with a win?
Tight win again. I think Houston wins. Low scoring. Houston defends really well. Houston's a defensive juggernaut. I mean, they're just so tough and physical. What's going to be helped, though? They're playing in Indianapolis. That's not very far from Purdue. So Purdue, if you're watching the game on TV and you hear a lot of noise for Purdue, it's why they're close to home. I think, like you said, I don't think the Purdue's is good. I think the defensive intensity that this Houston's going to bring to them is going to keep the game low scoring, but I think Houston wins the game. But Purdue keep it close too. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But here's the thing: if Houston guards you and you don't make shots, Houston's one of those teams that'll beat you 60-40. You know what I mean? They're just going to grind you down, and that's how they are. But it's a fun matchup too.
Yeah, it is. Another fun one, the last one on the list for the games coming up in the next few days is the Volunteers and the Wildcats. That's Tennessee and Kentucky, two teams from the SEC. Obviously have played each other before. This could be a pretty good game as well. The Wildcats have experience here in the Final Four. In the Sweet 16. They made the Final Four last year.
No, Calipari lost. They lost in the first round last year. Remember,
they did get knocked out. I'm thinking of Kansas. Kansas.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this game?
Great game. Tennessee, here you go. Let's talk about our high school game for a second. Middletown beat us in the third game of the year. We had beaten them twice. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. So here's a good stat for everybody that's watching the game. Kentucky's beaten Tennessee twice this year. I'm gonna take Tennessee. It's extremely hard to beat a team 3 times, as I found out our own program. Tennessee is going to win the game. I think it's going to be tight, but it's because the SEC game. They know each other. They know each other extremely well. But I think Tennessee is that team that no one's talking about that easily could get by this game and beat Houston and go to the four. They're solid. They're a very good basketball team.
Yeah, I agree. So Elite Eight wise, you're saying Florida, Texas Tech, Duke, and Alabama for the first games tonight. Auburn, Michigan State, Houston, and Tennessee.
I mean, those are all the top seeds. Would I say that's how it would go? Picking them? No, because I think BYU could win. I agree with you. I think BYU game.
Okay.
Arkansas, Texas A&M, to be honest, is Texas Tech is a toss-up to me. That's a toss-up. I could go either way. Yeah, that's a tough one. I know you like to talk about that. That's tough because
I think out of all the games that are coming up within the next 2 days, BYU probably has the best chance of being the underdog to win their game. And then after that, I would say probably it's tough after that. I don't know. It's tough after. It's really tough. Every team stands a chance, and that's why they're here. That's why they're in the Sweet 16. No, it'll be fun nonetheless. So if you want to catch the games tonight, they do kick off at 7. There's 4 games slated for tonight, 4 games slated for tomorrow night, and then once these Sweet 16 games are over, I believe they'll play their games through the week next week, and then the championship, the Final Four in the championship game will be the week after that. And then, so that'll be I think the championship game is set for the 7th.
I have to look, but
I think the 7th.
It'll be Saturday. So whoever plays Thursday will play Saturday this weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And whoever plays Friday will play Sunday. So yes. So you'll know the Final Four by Sunday night. So
yep.
Yeah, it'll be really fun.
And hopefully my bracket's still somewhat alive. I know it's not perfect, but
I think Florida. I'm telling. I like your pick. Maryland can beat Florida.
Yeah, I would at least if I were betting on Maryland, I would at least take them to at maybe like a plus 8.5, something like that. So because they have a chance of winning, but if they lose, it's not going to be by much. So yeah,
exactly.
It'll be fun. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, Kevin. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It always is. I appreciate you coming on every time you do. We'll have to check in back with you here. Maybe talk a little more college basketball once the games we have the Final Four set in place, and we talk a little bit about that, who can make the championship, and then of course we got to cover the championship game whenever it comes up. So it'll be fun. It's a fun time in sports. Major League Baseball started today. And the NBA is in full swing. It's almost over. They're pushing for playoffs. There's a lot of excitement. It reminds me of this is like when fall sports, when there's football happening, the end of baseball is happening. Hockey starts in the summer. Wait.
No, it's October. You're right.
They start in October. They end in the summer. Yeah. So they're like the NBA. They're kind of around the same schedule as the NBA. Yep. Yeah. This is like this. There's 2 exciting times in sports where you can watch anything you want. Yeah. And then, of course, golf's thrown in there somewhere. I do like golf. I'm just not good at it.
Tough sport to play.
Yeah. Well, hey, have a good rest of your night, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks for inviting me on. Thanks,
of course.
Yeah.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com.